feel like trying to DIY your branding is just way too overwhelming? Like, you'd just be better off passing it off to a professional designer because that would be so much easier? Well, today I wanted to share with you my DIY branding process to show you that you could actually confidently be your own designer, that you don't have to feel overwhelmed, and that DIYing your own branding is actually something that you can achieve. Now, before we dive in, if you're struggling with your branding, you'll find my free workbook really helpful. The 4-step process to go from vision to visuals. This will walk you through the steps that you need to take to create a really strong brand identity. So if that's something you're stuck on, make sure you check out the link below and download that. This is game changing for small businesses because a lot of small businesses just don't have the budget to be outsourcing everything in their business. And getting your branding professionally done can be expensive. Maybe there's other areas that you wanted to spend money on and you want to try and tackle this branding yourself, especially considering that you're constantly needing to make graphics for your business. And so you really want to get a handle on how to design yourself because you realize that you can't just keep outsourcing every single graphic you need. You need to start to understand how design works and how to be your own designer so that you're able to handle the design side of your business with ease and confidence. Cohesive and professional brand is just essential for growth in business. A brand that's consistent, cohesive, and has meaning and strategy behind it is really going to help your business grow because you're going to start communicating the right message to the right people, which means people are going to start trusting your brand more and you're going to be attracting the right people. So getting your branding right can make such a difference in your business. And so I really want to give you that confidence that you can tackle this and you can create something that's really going to help your business thrive. So the process I'm going to share with you is going to give you the tools and confidence to create your brand from scratch and truly make it yours, because when you own that design process, when you work on it yourself, you can really take control of it. You can make sure that you're creating something that is truly unique to you, really expressing your business and who you are and the people that you want to work with, and make it truly yours. When you take control of your own brand, you can create something that is truly you, that really feels like that perfect fit. So often people work on their branding or even outsource their branding and something about it just doesn't quite feel right. It doesn't feel like that perfect fit. And so they're constantly rebranding, trying to find that perfect thing. But when you follow the process I'm going to share with you, you'll actually create a brand that feels like that perfect fit. It truly feels like you're expressing you, your business, and connecting with that perfect ideal audience. So first of all, my process is designed for those non-designers. So you might think, oh, I have to be a designer, I have to be super creative in order to be able to design for myself. And that's not true, because so much of the design process of actually creating a brand, a lot of it is actually about strategy and then about consistency. So those things don't actually So those elements don't actually require design skills. And then design itself is all about different principles and rules. And so when you learn those things, you'll actually realize that design is actually something that you can learn. It's not the kind of creativity like art where you need to spend hours and hours trying to get really skilled at a particular skill. It's something that you can learn certain principles and rules and very quickly understand how to design well. Plus, when you're working on your own brand, you don't need all the skills a professional designer needs. They're working on a vast array of different projects, working with lots of different brands on different types of things, but you're just focusing on your one brand, which means you don't need quite as many skills. And so it's a lot faster for you to learn the skills you do need in order to master your own branding and creating your own graphics. It's about breaking things down step by step and then using simple design software. So mostly using Canva. So we're not having to learn complicated design software like Adobe, and we're also not having to know how to do a vast array of different things. So straight away you can see that we're starting to really cut down what you need to know. You don't need to know as much as a professional designer in order to master your own branding and graphics. What you really need is a clear framework to know that process that goes behind working on a brand, then understanding design rules to make it easier for you to create your own graphics. Now, there might still be things in your branding that you just think are beyond you. Maybe you want a particular kind of graphic element or an illustration in your brand, and that's a bit beyond what you feel capable doing. or maybe the idea of it just feels a bit too much. But that doesn't mean that you can't outsource some small things. So you can take control of your branding and your graphics and do the majority of it yourself. You may just outsource a few smaller things that are a bit out of reach, like maybe an illustration. To help you understand how this process can actually be quite simple, let's say for example, you need to pick your brand colors. Now you don't need design skills to pick out brand colors, and you don't need to be creative in order to pick out brand colors either. What you need to understand is actually science, really. Color is more scientific. It's about psychology, so what different colors mean, and also the emotions that they evoke, and then how colors go together. So what colors work together to create a color palette. So we're actually more learning science and psychology here rather than design. And a lot of people looking at design don't realize that there's more to it than just being creative and just having a good eye for things. It can actually be a lot more scientific. There are all these different rules and principles that are based in psychology and science that go behind design. Because after all, with branding, it's all about communicating a message, which is visually communicating. So a lot of it is understanding that psychology of how people perceive things. So what impression and what kind of thoughts are people going to have when they look at something? So for example too, if you see a straight line versus a very organic line, it's going to give you a different impression. A very straight line is going to look more professional. A more organic line is going to feel more natural and free. So a lot of these different things that we're choosing in our branding and the types of elements that we use, it's actually about understanding that psychology of how is someone going to perceive this? What's it going to communicate about my business? And so that's not about being creative and just, oh, I want to come up with some arty, creative, beautiful idea. It's really about understanding, what am I trying to communicate? What do I want my brand to say? What message do I want to convey, and who do I want to attract? How do I want to make those people feel? And how do I want to position my brand? You really want to be spending a lot of the time in your design process actually thinking about what it is you're trying to communicate. Then understand the psychology of what different things actually communicate, so how to speak visually. And then you're able to pick out different elements that communicate those things. And this actually makes design so much more easy because we're not open-ended of your brand could look like anything you like and you've got to come up with some really cool, creative, artistic idea. No, instead you're strategically thinking, what do I want to communicate? What visuals communicate that message? Then you'll start to put together a mood board using those things that you've researched, and it will start to direct your design. So it's not so open-ended and overwhelming. So essentially the process is understanding exactly what it is you want to communicate, then how we communicate that visually, then doing visual research and creating a mood board that uses those things that we found. And then from there, starting to work on the actual brand design. And as I said, if anything feels outside your scope, you can outsource parts of it. Then when it comes to designing your own graphics, you just need to learn those design principles and rules, and you'll realize it's not as complicated as you think, and that there's certain rules and principles that can actually help you realize why design isn't working as well. So if you've got a design that you're working on, a graphic, and you just feel like something isn't right here, actually understanding certain design rules and principles will help you realize, oh, maybe that's what's wrong, and you can you'll be able to easily and quickly tweak things to make better designs. Now, being able to design for your own branding is also going to be so much more cost effective for you. Not only do you save the cost of fully outsourcing your branding, but also every graphic that you need. If you never take the time to learn at least the basics of design, you can't even tackle just a simple Instagram graphic or anything like that. Having the skill of design is so valuable for a business owner because you are constantly creating graphics in your business. Think about it. Every time you promote anything, every time you're on social media, every time you're creating a newsletter or any kind of promotional graphic for your content, you're constantly producing graphics. So being able to learn this skill is going to save you so much money because you're not having to outsource it all, and you're going to feel much more confident about what you can create. You can do it more quickly and easily, and you're going to be able to put things out there that you feel proud of. Plus, you don't need those expensive software either. You can use Canva for pretty much most of your design needs. There may be the odd thing that you might need to do elsewhere, but you can also find other free or low-cost software to do that to supplement. So really, you're not needing expensive software either. We're not needing all the fancy tools that a professional graphic designer would need because they have a much vaster scope of projects they work on. You can stick with more simple, low-cost tools. So really, this is a skill that's going to save you a lot of time and money, and it's really going to make a difference in your business. I want to be able to empower you to have control of your own branding and graphics because it is such a powerful skill. Think about it. Sometimes things will happen in the world. There'll be different events. There'll be different things that happen. There'll be a promotion you suddenly really inspired to do, or you'll be invited to something, and you just need to be able to create graphics really quickly sometimes. And the idea that you might need to outsource something, or you need to spend hours because you're not very good at it, that's going to really slow you down. When you feel confident and you feel like design is something that you can easily do, then you're able to make moves in your business faster. If you've got an idea and you want to test it and put it out there, see what people think, you can very quickly create the graphics you need. And so it's a really empowering thing to be able to do because you're going to feel confident to quickly create the things you need to create without any roadblocks or having to wait on anyone or wasting hours away trying to get it right and ripping your hair out feeling, I just wish I could do this easier. Plus, if you need to make tweaks or add things to your branding over time, this isn't going to be this huge event. It's something that will be really easy for you to do. If you realize that you need to add something new or tweak something slightly, you'll be able to go in there and get it done. You're not going to feel like, oh, now I've got to go find this person to help me. I've got to hire this. I've got to do all that. And it's not going to feel overwhelming. You've got so much more control when you have that ability to design. So if you're ready to take those first steps to become your own designer and take control of your brand and graphics, I've recently revamped the workbook, the 4-step process to go from vision to visuals, and I've turned it into a really fun interactive workbook to take you through the common mistakes people make and the 4-step process that you need to go through in order to take control of your brand and to take it from an initial idea to a visual concept. So if you'd like to download it, check out the link in the description below and make sure you get your copy. And if you'd like to learn more about branding and graphic design, make sure you subscribe, and happy creating.